This is Sniper signing in to Command & Conquer Red Alert 3 on the map Infinity Isle, spawning on the left side as the Red Allies player. This is Stryderr. And his opponent spawning on the right side as the Orange Soviets. This is GreekGift, which I am 99.9% sure is a Smurf. Which, from what I've been able to gather from GameReplays.org, maybe this is Omnitaz? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I actually know because I really don't. So that's just like my shot in the dark kind of guess. Lots of dog and bear wars going on here up front. Got that cash bounty power going down so that at least GreekGift will get a little bit of his money back for losing these units. Very, very nice indeed. Standard play. Both sides going to be securing their respective oil derricks. Coming out from Stryderr refinery, most probably second refinery. Yes, there it is. Second refinery, still hanging onto that boot camp. War factory before second ref. All right, so we're gonna see some terror drones. That means, and there it is, instant Q on the terror drones. How walled off? Yes, Stryderr is going to be completely and utterly walled off. There's going to be no hope for a terror drone to get in here and do damage like GreekGift is hoping for. Well, I said terror drones. Never mind. He just went for a very fast sickle. I'm wrong. Yeah. Whoops. Thought it was going to be terror drones. Could very well have been terror drones, but since Stryderr went such heavy play into peacekeepers early on, then the early game sickle is indeed a very good idea. However, what's not a good idea is letting your sickle get this close to this many peacekeepers and just getting shot up by the shotguns. And it would be bad if you lose a sickle just because they're anti-infantry. Yeah, there you go, lost the sickle. Just because you have an anti-infantry unit does not mean it's invulnerable to infantry, or it's invincible against infantry, because it most certainly can be overwhelmed, just as we saw there. The sickle's DPS simply was not high enough to make the difference needed. Super reactor going down. Looks like Gift is cash stalling a little bit, but that is okay. Now, as that does finish up, we did see a Vindicator, and there they are. Airfield with dual Vindicator with that advanced aeronautics upgrade, giving them that health buff, like something like a 40-ish% health buff. Maybe, well, I could be completely overshooting that. That's just my rough guess. And an extra bomb. So the extra bomb on the Vindicator, very, very useful. But, oh, it's not very nice. Oh, loses one Vindicator and half the health on the other. Trades one Vindicator for one Bullfrog. The Soviet players out there, you will take that trade all day long. One Bullfrog is like, what? 800-900 versus a 1200 Vindicator. Yeah, I think I'd be okay with taking that trade. If it was a $300 net gain or 300 net gain for me, I would totally do it. Third expansion, third ref coming down for Stryderr. Do we have the same play here? Yes, GreekGift is throwing down that third refinery. Eco Games pretty much on the same scales, except looks like Stryderr is actually ahead. So it's okay. So they're on the relative same scales. But Stryderr's eco timing is a little bit better than Gift's. Looks like Gift is committing a little too hard. Drops the bombs, gets that harvester, that collector down to maybe 60, 55%-ish health, and just loses a Vindicator for it. Sickle, here we go again. This is what I was talking about earlier. Sickles, it's if you get that Peacekeeper. Well, okay, well, this time around, the Peacekeepers are all kind of damaged as long as he's targeting down the Peacekeepers that are already, heavily damaged on health. Well, I say he'll be okay. Never mind. He's going to lose this sickle, too. Down it goes. Lost another sickle. Traded a good bit of peacekeepers for it. Now, this sickle should be able to overwhelm everything that he has going right there. Those peacekeepers. Airfield coming down. So we could see some potential MiG twin blade strats. Not seeing very many hammer tanks, which for good, it's a good call. Is normally you see a lot of Soviet players get into this tunnel vision type build order where it's like, oh, I have to go for hammer tanks, which that's not necessarily the case. The hammer tanks in their own right are good and they're a staple of a Soviet ground army, but when you're up against an allied player who's only just now going vehicles, you don't really need hammer tanks. And even now, You still don't really need them in GreekGift's case because his airfield is filled with 4 Vindicators. There are no Apollo fighters here. So just some simple twin blades, which that's exactly what we're seeing. GreekGift twin blades coming out of that airfield will provide the perfect counter to these Riptide ACVs coming out. And of course, he will have to worry about the multi-gunner IFVs that are going to be coming out of this armor facility, but mix in 1 tank, 2 tank, or a couple of sickles. Pardon me. Mix some sickles and or hammer tanks, and that will be more than enough to chase them away. And just as we see here, 1 hammer tank coming out does clean up that multi-gunner IFV, and now this Riptide ACV is pretty much forfeit. He may be able to make it if these IFVs are going to be rallied forward. Does chase away that twin blade, and close to killing it, but not quite. Guardian tanks are beginning to roll alongside these Vindicators, or underneath these Vindicators, rather, for Stryderr. So that, it was Stryderr. Those are a lot of Bullfrogs. The 3 Bullfrogs, that's a strong force multiplier that you have there. And those Vindicators, they may be tough with advanced aeronautics, but they're not invincible. And here comes that twin blade harass. Will he lose it? Yes, he will. Last shot. The last hit does wind up totaling that twin blade. Looks like the Warbear provided the scout for that toxic corrosion. The Badger bomber to... Oh no, that's not toxic corrosion. That's Desolator airstrike. Whoops, my bad. And now the twin blade taking advantage of the lack of Apollo fighters for Stryderr, coming out into the water and is going to get a free easy peasy kill on that harvester. No questions asked. Guardian tanks, and now dropping down that boot camp, gonna more than likely mix in some peacekeepers and or javelin troopers to help combat the increasing number of Soviet hammer tanks. As you see now, GreekGift going for hammer tanks, this many hammer tanks, is actually a very good idea, since the allied player Stryderr is beginning to mix in Guardian tanks of his own. At the time that it doesn't really make too much sense to go for armor as a Soviet player is, of course, if your opponent doesn't have very much armor, and they don't have a giant cloud of infantry. Looks like Vindicators do come in and take down 2 of those tanks. Precision airstrike with a precision airstrike rather. 2 Guardian tanks have gone down. That'll make 3 that have gone down, and we're up against 5 going in for that crush move. Does get the entire crush off, and these Guardian tanks, these Leech Beams, they're handing off the guns. They're handing off the guns. 1 Vindicator does go down. Will another follow? No, it will not. Trading 1 Vindicator for 1 hammer tank. I almost called it a Scorpion tank. I've been playing too much Kane's Wrath. My whoopsie. But 1 Vindicator for 1 hammer tank. That's about even. No, that's still in favor of the Soviet player. I couldn't quite remember the pricing there for just a moment. Vindicator is about, what, 1,200, while the hammer tank is around 1,000. So it's still, if you lose a Vindicator, or if a Vindicator does get shot down and you only trade 1 tank for it as a Soviet player, that's still in favor of the Soviet player, in this case, GreekGift. And Harvester harass, or Collector harass, out here on the water. Sentry gun trying to go down. That sentry gun's not going to finish, not nearly in time. And it looks like that Riptide is actually doing a lot of damage here. Ooh, that was close. That was very, very close indeed. It looks like some Javelin Troopers starting to make the mixture, but Vindicators, Vindicator Micro are going to have to be on point. Loses 1 Bullfrog and loses a Vindicator. Ugh. If Stryderr can get on this air game without losing a Vindicator, I mean, I realize, of course, Bullfrog coverage and Bullfrog Micro from GreekGift has been exceptionally good. Okay, no, I'm not trying to knock either of these players here. Micro has been exceptionally good on the side of the Bullfrogs. It's just the only thing that is right now starting to stack up against Stryderr is that he keeps losing 1 Vindicator, 2 Vindicators, however many, on each of these bombing runs. But however, it looks like the Guardian tanks are going to be outmatched by these hammer tanks, but there's no answer for these Javelin Troopers. There's no answer. They're coming in to try for the crush move now. And now, here come the Twin Blades. If those Twin Blades can get on those Javelin Troopers, they can absolutely rinse them down. Heroic Javelin Trooper runs back into the toxins. He was just so eager to try and get back to base, but then the toxins wound up catching him. Terror drone coming out and getting this harass off on the water collector again. Very nice indeed. Always try to hinder your opponent's eco. Very, very important to do so. Now, barracks coming down with Warbear production from GreekGift. Going to use those Warbears to more than likely lock down any further Javelin Trooper play, which we do see Stryderr continuing to commit to. We have a tier 2 MCV, so I would personally love to see some Apollo fighters and or cryocopters, but hold the phone. Here come 2 twin blades, and they're going to go after Stryderr's oil derrick. These multi-gunner IFVs, they're good for anti-air, but they're slow. They're ground units, and they can be, well, I mean, I say that. They're slow relative for a ground unit trying to respond to an air attack that's away from them. And here comes that cryoblast. He may actually just get the straight up get the refinery. Nope, it wasn't enough. He thought he could get the refinery. He couldn't quite get the ref. Probably should have just gone for the safe bet with the collector. And here come these 2 twin blades again. If they couldn't get the oil derrick, they'll just say, okay, fine, we'll just come through and we'll drop a rocket salvo on that collector and stick it in heavy damage mode. So now this thing's moving just a little bit slower. So that will result in some lost mining time. And here we go again. This collector, how many times? This is like what, the 3rd time it's gone down. This collector, it would be 2 Stryderr's advantage to drop a multi-gunner turret out there on the water just to make sure it is able to be defended. But here we go. Guardian tanks getting absolutely leeched. Warbears going in the middle of the army do wind up getting crushed. Javelin troopers, a bunch of them get crushed as well. Looks like 1 terror drone comes out, does sideswipe another javelin trooper. Getting these leech beams off, just taking all the guns right off of these guardian tanks. And okay, there we go. looks like some of the tanks weren't quite on the leech beam, but we do have 1 upgraded tank, 2 upgraded tank. Very nice whenever you get those hammer tanks with those upgraded guns or with a second gun on them. Makes them so much more powerful in dealing with ground units. And here comes the MCV backup. Are we going to see the Soviet brawler take the front? We're going to see the MCV take the front line and just brawl his way to victory. And here we go. Here's the answer that Stryderr has needed to these twin blades for so long. It is the Apollo fighters. They are on the field, and these twin blades are almost, wow, not entirely, almost done and dusted. About a couple, maybe like a couple pixels worth of health on that one. No, a little bit more. Not a very tiny sliver of health left, but still enough to remain airborne. And okay, so no, we're not going to see the Soviet brawler, but what I did see a desolator airstrike, but good on Stryderr, already registering that airstrike was on its way. Moves the prospector out of the ore line and saves it from going down to those toxins. And that's the end of that twin blade. It does get the rocket salvo off. Now it's in heavy damage mode. This is still in heavy damage mode. This is going to result in some lost mining time. Is if it's not as efficient as it can be, then, well, I don't know. It's just little things start to add up. Little things will add up indeed very quickly. Tesla Coil going down the front line on top of this naval yard. Do we have a battle lab anywhere? Are we going to see any kind of dreadnought play? No, we will not. At least not right now. None of the sort. And if we take a look at the ground armies, we have a substantial force of hammer tanks, bullfrogs, and warbears. We have a heroic warbear. Let's just take a look, see what the ranks are looking like. We have a veteran bullfrog that's nearly dead, heroic warbear, and an elite hammer tank. While on the other side for Stryderr, we have a whole bunch of grunts, recruit level units, about 6 guardian tanks, really only 5 offensive guardian tanks, as this one is on its laser pointer secondary attack option. Whereas these hammer tanks, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hammer tanks. And a Kula sub, and that naval yard already going to good use. Looks like he sold it? Maybe. Did he sell it? Oh, I can't understand why he would sell it, but... Oh, Stryderr. Stryderr, you forgot about this collector. You forgot about the collector, Stryderr. You forgot. Collector. Yeah, but he does have Athena cannons up on the front line. will be looking to press this Soviet army, but I don't think he has enough to do it. Oh, but here come the Mirage tanks. If he gets enough Mirage tanks mixed in, of course that is a different story. Now this entire time there's only been one collector harvesting at optimal speeds. This collector is still not on the line. This one's still harvesting at heavy damage mode. Getting some repairs down would be very good, but oh my, oh my, oh my. This the economy is going to come back to haunt Stryderr. I'm going to predict it right now. The economy is going to come back to haunt him, and the Athena cannon goes down. Mirage tanks on the front line, 2 of them, but just getting absolutely drained of all their life here. Hammer tanks, and now the war bears come in. They're just mulching. They're mincing. They are crushing everything. And Cryogeddon comes down. What will be frozen? Not very much. Nice scatter move from GreekGift. One Terror drone does remain frozen, and looks like that Badger bomber does rain its toxins down. Loses the heroic hammer tank, but another Mirage tank goes down in his stay. Still Prospector. 2 heavy damage Prospectors, 1 not even mining. Tip it's one thing. Anytime you're suffering from any kind of harassment from any player, always make sure that you get your prospectors or your collectors back on the line and get them to get your money flowing once again. But now, actually, GreekGift might have just done him a favor, since he came in with those twin blades and sacked both of these. Well, I say he might have done him a favor. If Stryderr remembers to requeue both of these, requeuing there we go. One's requeued there, one's requeued there. Does have to sell that one. I think he might be cash stalled. Stryderr might be cash stalled, and that's what's happening here. He's trying to build. Yes, I think he's cash stalled. I believe Stryderr is stalled for cash, and stalled heavily for cash. These 2 Mirage tanks, really all that he's got. He does have a heroic multi-gunner IFV, but at this point, the Soviet Air Force isn't really as big of a threat as it perhaps used to be. And now here comes that battle lab. GreekGift has recognized that Tier 3 has come down from Stryderr, so now he will be making the transition himself, looking to get some V4 rocket launchers, Apocalypse tanks, or possibly the fearsome Kirov airship onto the field, and to see what all he can make happen. And one little animation glitch of a warbear getting stuck in between 2 hammer tanks. You gotta love little glitches like that. They can be so entertaining. Tesla troopers coming out from that barracks will be actually very useful in taking on vehicles, but I cannot quite remember if Mirage tanks can one-shot the Tesla trooper. It's quite possible. I know for a fact they one-shot pretty much all the Soviet infantry except for maybe the Tesla trooper, and then the Commando Natasha as well. I'm pretty sure Natasha doesn't get one-shotted by a Spectrum cannon. Pretty sure. I could be totally wrong. V4 rockets coming out. One thing the V4 rocket would be very deadly for right now is if GreekGift switches that to the multi-rocket bombardment. And here we go, right as I mentioned the Commando. Here comes Natasha. Here comes Natasha. And the Athena cannon takes the scene. Oh, be careful, Natasha. Cryogeddon! Look out, hammer tanks! So that's a lot of tanks that just got frozen. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks and 2 drones that got frozen. Natasha could use a pilot snipe. Natasha she could use her ability to GreekGift could slap that F key, which he does, killing that Athena cannon. So this multi-gunner turret, Natasha's just gonna tank the shots, but that will mean Natasha dies. But that means the armor facility goes down, so now all he's got are these 3 Mirage tanks and this now reclaimed Athena cannon. That Natasha really didn't do diddly squat. Really, it didn't. Athena cannon gets infected, and now twin blades are coming up. V4 rocket launchers taking the scene, so many Soviet hammer tanks. I think we'll be seeing a GG out very shortly. It is indeed very possible. The noose is around Stryder's neck, and GreekGift is tightening it ever so slowly. With these V4 rocket launchers using their continuous bombardment capabilities, will inch the Soviet line ever closer and closer towards what remains of Stryderr. Stryderr, you could, if you need cash, man, you could really sell off that airfield. You don't really need it right now. You have no use for it. You're not building from it, and honestly, I think you have better use for your money elsewhere. But that aside, does lose 1 Mirage tank, 2 Mirage tank, 3 Mirage tank. Natasha's already back out. Does pilot snipe that Mirage tank. Here comes the last bastion of hope. Charge of the Light Brigade in the form of multi-gunner IFVs, and there's a sell-off that is going to be Stryderr tapping out of this game. GG and well played to both of these players. Taking a look at these graphs, units, they're kind of just all over the place. It looks like GreekGift was actually ahead for a lot of the early game. It looks like Stryderr, well, at least here, Stryderr was ahead. That was the infantry brawl. Then, you know, it's more even, but it's GreekGift is always kind of ever so slightly ahead, more or less, but it's really right about here, right around like the, say, the 11-12 minute mark. That's about the point where things just start getting out of control. Is here, they were about the same unit count, thereabouts, but this is just right here. It just went downhill completely for Stryderr. Let's see what those resources look like, and there it is. It's Stryderr held an eco lead for a little bit, but then GreekGift caught up to him. Not only caught up to him, but also got a lot of harassment done, whether it was with those twin blade gunships or the terror drones. Stryderr lost that water expansion so many times. He lost the collector twice to twin blades, once to a terror drone, and then again when he sold off the entire refinery because an Akula sub rocked up and there was nothing he could do to defend it. And then you had the twin blades coming through. You had the prospector on one side of Stryderr's base in heavy damage mode, losing efficiency time while mining. You had another one that was forced off the line due to a desolator airstrike and was never corrected for several minutes. Those sorts of things, they add up. They add up very, very, very quickly. And if you're getting harassed, guys, if you're getting harassed, always make sure that you keep your eyes on your economy. You always have to make sure that you're getting your eco back on track, you're getting your collectors back on the line, so you can make sure you have that income to recover, to bounce back, and to make any sort of counterattacks or counter harassments at your disposal. Summary: 21 minutes on the dot for that game length. Income was very much in favor of GreekGift, and that is just as I was saying, just as I just said, not being careful about being harassed, and suddenly a few hundred credit income deficit can suddenly turn into a few thousand total ore collected. Just case in point, 87,000 to 120,000. GreekGift just has so much more money to work with. It was not even funny. And then here, the hammer tanks just proved their worth. The hammer tanks just had so much value, just killing so much stuff from Stryderr, whether it was infantry or just leeching down all of the Guardian tanks. Just so much stuff was just going down. Oddly enough, efficiency was actually worse for GreekGift. Not 100% sure on how that went down, but in any event, that was still a very nice game for both these players. I don't mean to knock either of these players again. The micro was still good. Well, I would say the micro was better overall for GreekGift, whereas I think the micro in the first half of the game for Stryderr was, that was pretty on point. Okay, but for me personally, if I had to say a play of the game or a micro fail, the biggest micro fail of the game would probably be letting those collectors go for several minutes, or letting that one collector rather go for several minutes off the line, not harvesting, and just sitting there on the beach. That could have been corrected, and that could have made things a lot better for Stryderr, I think. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, as that will conclude this cast. I do hope you have enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button down below, and if you want to see some more, hit that subscribe button as well, and you'll be notified when any future casts go up on the channel. So as always, guys, stay awesome. This is Sniper signing out.